Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. 7:09 here, Mountain Time, and yeah, we were listening to Mr. Sean Bolts there. I pray for you, and wanted to do that just to give you a quick blessing in the morning. It is Tuesday. Good morning, Ramblin' Rick. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Denise in the UK. Who else is out here? Good morning, Timmy. Good morning, Susan. Good morning, Snow King. Good morning, Calmness 55. Good morning, Rockabob 76. Good morning, Comanche 6520. I hope you're doing well, brother. Let me know what the conditions are for you. Been thinking about you, and it isn't just me. There's several other people been thinking about you. You're on our hearts, and we want to be able to bless you too. Good morning, Canuck, and good morning, Arizona Pools 1. Good morning, Wispy, and Ramblin' Reg 2718. If I didn't call your name, please say hi to everybody and stop in and say good morning. I hope you're all well on this Tuesday, December 19th, 12/19/23. And we've been looking at the Iceland volcano up there by GRINDAVIK. And there's bad news and there's good news so far that I've got. Also, we looked earlier in the last hour, we looked at the devastation that happened from the 6.2 up in China. What else? We listened to what JFK Jr. believes happened to his father. And let's see. We had early morning blessings about what's going to happen in 24 and what to do. Right in line with what we've been saying here at JSL for 2 years. Maybe 3 years. I don't know. It's been a minute. In regarding getting your own garden together. And yes, you can have a vertical garden or just a raised garden bed or in the ground outside your house. If you live in an apartment like I do, then a vertical garden works. And I think I've found a way to, I'm going to have to find that link again, to get it relatively inexpensive, the vertical garden, where you can plant it and grow some vegetables, some edibles, and maybe help yourself and maybe a neighbor who has something. It's not that you need to grow food for somebody else, but if you have a resource, you can barter that resource to get the goods that you want. And not a lot of people understand about barterism. So, it's going to be a learning curve, with what people value. One person may value something that you have at a much higher value than you place on it. So, negotiating is part of the tool that you're going to have to, get a grip with. And on top of that, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 solar buttons on the sun has just come out. 9 of them. And solar sunspots. Crazy. And we'll talk about that too. So if you've never been here in the Morning Report, Morning Report basically gives you an overview of what's happening around your world, scientifically, and it's not detailed. The details will come in the rabbit holes and the wackadoodles and the mini reports. The Morning Report and the Evening Report are specific for giving you an overall a picture of what's going on. The details come in chat, and when people hear something, they add to it. This is a community. It's not just me up here, flapping my gums, but we're a community of people who bring to light what's happening, whether it be science or whether it be political or whether it be in something else, helping each other. You're going to get fed in a little bit, in an hour. My cat is he's telling me he wants to eat. But again, it's JSL's not like every other channel where the guy in there just, he's putting out there that information. Because what'll happen is it'll pigeonhole me into creating things that aren't real. And I don't want that. I put out plenty of my own theories. And I put out, some of the theories y'all have. I try to stay fact-based as much as I can. And my observations are mine. And I put forth a argument for those observations. And I expect that the same for you. As our rules suggest here, no drama, but expect vigorous discussion regarding your points of view. And we don't talk about aliens, from outer space, that is, or the aliens that live on this planet, and whether you think they're lizard people or not. That's another place for you to go and let that fantasy develop or die somewhere else, because we play that game here. We're trying to stay, scientific and much as we can, using scientific methods as they're afforded to us. We often use a lot of tools such as spaceweather.com and the like, and we use some of our they're not really affiliates, but I like to think they're affiliates because they're doing the same thing that I'm doing. Like Dynamic Earth Community, like to support them. They're a great resource for watching what's going on around the planet seismically. News agencies, and other venues for articles and the like that are written by people who know what the hell they're talking about. Canuck is now saying, yeah. Well, yeah, there evidently was a big storm over the east and east of the United States, and it went into Canuck land. And I think there was like 400,000 people without power in Maine. And now there's like 25,000 people or 250,000 people without power in New Brunswick. Crazy. Power poles were destroyed in the countryside. Yeah. And so there's a lot here we can talk, we'll talk about and bring to mind. So if you're over there on YouTube and you hear this, please like, share, and follow, and subscribe. It helps. It's free for y'all. If you like to be part of the live show, you can be over here on Twitch. It's $5 a month for a subscription. You don't have to have one, but if you want to avoid the commercials that Twitch puts on there, I don't know what they're going to do, but they do it. And it's $5 a month, and they get half of it, and I get half of it. But you can also leave a gratuity. streamelements.com/JoeSlickLive. And or you can type the exclamation point TIP in chat here at Twitch, and you can leave a gratuity that helps build the JSL studio. There's an amount that's on there right now of right about $2,700. 99% of that is what I've earned in the last 2 months, or 3 months, putting it in there. And, what we have in the reserves is not that much, but been spending it when I need it for the move and the development of our new studio, which will be, in in the garage, the third car of the garage that my wife is buying a home, and I'll be in that garage, and trying to get a lot of information out here for you, spending my energies developing this channel here on Twitch as well as on the others, in locals and in Rumble and YouTube and on Facebook and in the like, so and in Instagram and on X as well. So all the above, and we're going to be pressed real hard on that this next year. And we're at the end of the year almost, man. It's 12/19. My house should close here within a week to 10 days, and then I'll be relocating from the West Coast, just a little bit inland, and it's what it is, baby. But if you need prayer, we also pray for people here, and guess what? We've actually seen God move on several people. Some people were in very dire straits, and God has moved on their behalf. On other times, other events happened, and people were, they got a job, they got a place to live. Relocation, either doors were open or closed. A great many of things, but I believe in prayer, and prayer is the opportunity to agree with God on a situation. Most people think of it as from a centric point of view. Well, I'm just trying to manipulate God, and that's all you're trying to do. So no, no. I get to agree with God in prayer. He, when I come to him, he already knows. Then I ask him how to pray. What is it? How should I request? And he tells me. And through that, he answers prayer. Why? Because it's in agreement with him. Can two walk together unless they be agreed to do so? When if you ask in my name, the Lord said, and two be agreed, I'll be in the midst of you. And the Holy Spirit shall reveal to you what's mine. The information, revelation you need. Revelation is way higher than information. Why? Revelation is future knowledge rather than previous knowledge. Yeah. It breaks the paradigm. That's right. And if you have access to that, then, hey, it's not something anybody can control, I'll tell you. Only thing you control is whether you're going to say it or not. God spoke, who can but prophesy? And I just ask a few people. One got in the belly of a whale, got spit up on shore. Yeah, because he didn't want to say what God said. So some of us are limited to our rebellion, and some of us have shorter leashes, some don't. Depends on your relationship and how close you are to him. The closer you get, the shorter your leash gets. Yeah, because he always tells you, if you're his friend, he always will tell you what he's doing, because you're his friend. Anyway, enough of that. Moving on. A whole lot of things are going on, dude. Wow. The space weather right now, solar wind right now is 592. So the wind has come in. The density is like nil. There's zero. 0.96 per cubic meter. We've had a C7 and a C3 flare in the last 24 hours. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sunspots on the disk, and let me show you those. There are the sunspots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A couple more coming into view. We've had a really slow time of it, except for 3500 that came through and, you know, popped. And then this, 3514 that was out here, popped out that X flare. That X flare, although it did produce a CME, CME is different from what a flare is. All right. CME is the projecta that shoots out. The flare is just the radiation. So there's a little bit of difference. You can see, let me see here. Right here, KP index right now is quiet. It's under 2. And we can probably take a look at that right here. Yeah, it's under 2. We had as high as 4.5 yesterday. The radiation levels are back down. So if I went like this and did the 7-day, you'll see that where the radiation went up on, the 16th, right? And then it's come back down, right? So, and then you'll see here, this is the last M flare we had day before yesterday. And we've had a couple of C's. Here's the last 2 C flares. And then we're still mellowing out, still low C's right now, and a trending lower. And let's see, in the real-time activity, BZ is in the north, just barely, you see, but it's pretty neutral. So the last major flare, 1214 was a 2.87. So, and that's when that's the big flare that we had on the 14th. So 2.87. That's X flare. The last M flare was an M11 on the 17th, and a geomatic storm was a G2 or KP6 on the 18th. To this day in history, shows that in 2013, a M35 and 02 was a 2.7, and 14 was a 1.3, 01 was a 1.3. So we've already beat all those, and you know, the X flare and all that. The in the solar activity right now, the solar flares, you can see right here, if I zoom in, utilizing spaceweatherlive.com. I like it. I like him as a resource, and many other scientists do as well. Not that I'm a scientist, I'm just an observer. I'm a Jaffo. And you, as you can see here, the C3.7 was the last one we had. Yeah, and then M14's last 72 hours. So we're bouncing in between there. And this is the SDO here. A little brighter around the edges. And you can see the sunspots coming in the middle, and these ones leaving us. And if we looked at stereo right now, let's go ahead and check that out. So, yeah. Up to, sorry. We'll do, today's the 19th, so we'll do 18 here. And then we'll search. Yep, all right. Boom, there seemed to be a blast that happened. On the 18th here at 10 o'clock. Yeah, it looks like there was a pop that happened on the 18th. And we'll try to get a easier view here. Boom, yeah, there it was. All right, let's go ahead and look at LASCO. These are other satellites other than stereo. There's the blast right there that we just saw. Bright spot here on the left, on the east. It looks like it might erupt. This one is already, it appears. You know. So there was something that came off from the sun. I can't tell if it's at us or away from us right now, but it appears like it might be going, like sideways from the disk. And what I mean by that is, we'll put a new file, don't save here. If the sun's here, and here we are in the center, outward, straight out at you. So if the sun is moving this direction, and the sunspot's here, and it goes around, it's over here. So if the blast goes out this way, we're going to see it, we're going to see it there. But sometimes in a 2D, it looks like it comes right at us. What happens when there's a blast that's coming right at us, it'll act up all the way around, and that's what's called a halo. When there's a halo, it's coming right at you. But we have to also be aware that there can be a halo that shoots out away from us, just the opposite side. So we have to kind of wait for the scientists to tell us, yeah, that's what happened. So, here's the little bit, LASCO 3, a little bit further view. And I'm not seeing anything, just a little brighter spot there in the east as it comes around Earth side of the disk. We'll be watching that. A lot of things you can learn here on JSL, because we talk about a lot of different things. It's a little much brighter up in here. So that's that one right there. As you see, same thing that they saw, we see. Pretty simple. There is no significant coronal holes. There's a little one, little catching wind. There are 160 fireballs over North America yesterday, on December 16th, actually. 160 of them. Well, they haven't updated this. That's pretty significant, and that's over North America. That means Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. Class M chance is 20% chance today. Class X is only 1% chance. So all the sunspots seem to be stable at the moment, and I guess no filaments are out there that are loose. But hey, sometimes stuff happens. Mid-latitude geometric storm probabilities 25%, and high latitudes 15%. There's 2,349 potentially hazardous asteroids out there. What that means is that's an asteroid. It's a football field size or larger, or 300 feet, 100 meters, or larger. That poses a risk to our planet. But of those, there are several others that do have a hazard, but aren't necessarily the size of that or larger. But what we do is we look at everything that's 5% distance from the Earth toward the sun, because those are the ones we can see. The other ones, sometimes we can't see until they get close. They got to be lit up by the sun. They're in the dark. Looking out into the dark and seeing something that's dark is really hard. If we were able to do that, we'd probably be a little afraid watching all the rocks fly around us, between us and Mars and the like. But looking at on the 19th, there are there are 4 rocks that are within that 5% distance. One is 66 feet across, one's 160 feet across, and one is 21 feet across, and the other is 93 feet across. All of these, except for the little 21-footer, are greater than 5 lunar distances away. It's hard to measure 5% distance from the Earth toward the sun. What kind of ruler would you use? So what we do is we measure the distance from the Earth to the moon, and we figure out what the distance from the Earth to the sun is, and then we find the distance, and then we say, okay, well, how many Earth to the moon distances would that be? And that's our measuring stick. So when we get to about 19.5 lunar distances, that's in kilometers there, that's 5% the distance. So anything within 19.5 lunar distances measured 381,401 meters, or kilometers actually. That's each lunar distance, 384,401. And when you have 4.6 lunar distances, like the 21 footer here, that's traveling at 4.3 meters a second, right? Yeah. Kilometers a second, sorry. Faster than meters in a second, that's for sure. When you have 4.6 lunar distances, you multiply 384,401 by 4.6. If you want to know that by miles, then you divide that by 1.6 and you'll get the miles. So in doing that, you would, like, you can see this, right? 384,401 times multiplied by 4.6 divided by 1.6 is 1,105,152 miles away. So 1 million miles away is about 4.5 distances, right? That's how far that 21-foot rock is, right here. Little over 1 million two. That's pretty far, but in retrospect, when you think about all of space, it's not very far. That's why we look at 5% of the distance from the Earth toward the moon. Toward the sun. 66 footer is about 10 lunar distances away. The 160 footer is about 19 distances away. And the 93 footer is about 11.5 lunar distances away. Most of these have been new discoveries, except for the 160 footer. They discovered it in 2016. And if you like to see about that rock here, we can click here and we'll go like this. The condition code is a 0. That means they're well aware where this one is. They've been watching it for 7 years. They've checked it out. And here's the trajectory. The red being Mars, the blue being Earth, Mercury is the pink or fuchsia, whatever it is, and Venus is purple. So this little booger in white is traveling almost, just inside of us and Venus and Mercury and Mars. So if we went sideways, you'll see, hey, this thing's not on the same plane. Nope. But they know about it. That's the great thing. And it poses no risk. It flies underneath, travels underneath us, right? And then before it gets close to us, it travels over us. So our path around the sun is underneath that. And that's only one rock. Can you imagine 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 rocks? Many of which we don't even know they exist. Why? Because we have a satellite looking, and we have multiple satellites looking, but we also have telescopes looking. And the only way we can see them is if they get lit up by the sun. There's no headlights out there in space. It's kind of like this. If you were an alien spacecraft, you have to ask this question. Why the hell would you need landing lights? What's the purpose of the lights? It's kind of like, why do you have navigational lights? So you don't run into each other? Yeah. It's such bogus. Anyway, I don't need to preach to you. Here we are looking at GRINDAVIK, or north of GRINDAVIK. The split of the ice or the land mass actually. It erupted last night in quite spectacular visuals. And this is from Mobile and Iceland. And quite spectacular explosion as it broke the surface. And here's another version of it right now. Erupting. And this is at GRINDAVIK, Iceland. Here's another visual on a mountain overlooking it. The eruption was through the fissures, actually opened up about 3 kilometers. And, you know, that's quite a ways. It's about 2 miles almost. And it's about 4 kilometers north of GRINDAVIK. And, I don't know, half a kilometer or 1 kilometer east of the power station and the Blue Lagoon. If you haven't, if you don't know what those are, spend some time with us and you'll find out. Here's the line, fiber optic line that's under the ground. This thing was going crazy yesterday with all the earthquakes. And right here's the up-to-date version. Here's the live version. Let me see if I can find any earthquakes in here. Doesn't appear. When this thing erupted yesterday, it was quite amazing to see all of them. You know, it was super, super active. The noise you see is just ambient noise up there. When there's an earthquake, you'll see it go all the way across. Yeah. And, you know, it's very, very noticeable. There are other visuals we can see. A little quick to check on deck here. A little here in Cali as well. See if there's anything going on. I don't see anything. And so let's go ahead and look at the tremors in the Pacific Northwest. There are some. There's 48 of them. And right here in Silesia, San Juan Islands, there's a little bit of vibration. And then we have down here in the southern Oregon, have a few and a few more. Nothing in California at the bottom of the Cascade Range. These primarily, I think, watch the Cascades or between the Cascades and the coastal range, the vibration. And I believe what they're looking for is in the depth of the Juan de Fuca plate that is subducting underneath North America. For those who don't know, the Pacific plate runs like this and then dives down, and then the North American plate rises up. And as this little section, you think that's how it would be, and then you have of course the water out here. What happens when this is being subducted down below? It's actually being subducted kind of like that, you know, and this is kind of going like that actually because of the two slamming up each other. This portion right in here is being rolled back, and this portion right here, when it's being rolled back because of the right here, it would normally be all the way out here, but because this is subducting underneath the North American plate, this is being crunched up, and what it's doing is it's raising the landmass higher and higher. Okay, and what happens in a great earthquake is this slippage right here will give way, and all this will flow back out, and the water will come in all the way, and there'll be a massive tsunami across the ocean as well as interiorly. And generally speaking, that's what most people say will happen with a 9 to a 10 magnitude earthquake in a subduction zone. I'm more inclined to think it'll be an 8 to a 9, but who knows? It could be a 9.5, you know. The largest largest earthquake we have on record is a 9.6, I think, and that's down in Chile. Alaska had a 9.2 in 1964, and I think it was 1960 was the 9.6. I'm not sure, but I'll have to ask my Canuck, my librarian. He's a wonderful tool to use. But that happens, so that's why these contours are here. That's the depths of the Juan de Fuca that's being subducted underneath the plate. And these vibrations are happening. They're not earthquakes. They're just the sliding of the plate underneath North America. And is just vibration. It moves. Oh, I don't know. A certain percentage. Here, we can check that out, tell you the truth. Sliding underneath North America. Right here. At about 26 millimeters a year. All right. So when we're watching the vibrations, we're watching the Pacific plate, which is moving about 70 millimeters a year in this area. 70 to 60 millimeters in this area. Because of the friction, it slows down. Out in the open ocean, it's 90. So you can see it's all kind of turning right here, as well as the Pacific Northwest is kind of turning right there. And it's shoving this portion right here, what we call the Juan de Fuca plate, where it's broke right here, with a series of spreading ridges and strike slip, meaning that side-by-side movement. This is spreading away from it. It's a divergent. That's what the reds are, away from each other. Convergent is the purple, and it's the pushing together of, like the up here in the north, that's a convergent coming together of. Divergence pulling away from the center port. And then the blue, as you see with the teeth, is being subducted underneath the North American plate. That's all this mass out here. And as it does, it gives it says it's 26 millimeters a year, and it's a vibration because it's ever so slight. And they use magnitudes along the side here, but they're not the same magnitudes that you would see. They're a magnitude of energy. It's different. So when we're watching the vibrations, one theory, which I don't fully subscribe to, but I think partially I do, is if we're looking at the Juan de Fuca, this is the Juan de Fuca here, right? And we're looking at this thing right here, right? What you'll see is this line here, or this line here. We'll see it right here. And we'll see a lot of activity in the range down here, because this is the crack that's happened. This is the sliding by each other. And this one theory is that the vibrations out here show up over here. I don't fully subscribe to that, because you should see vibrations all the way. But as this gets subducted underneath, this side-by-side stuff that, going this way and going that way, and this is the spreading away of. So this is being pushed out. This is being pushed down. This is being pushed in. Yeah, there's a lot of factors here, and all of this is, counterclock or clockwise rotation. And with GPS, they were able to see all that. So there's a lot of factors why these vibrations happen and where they happen, and a lot of different theories, a lot of different ideas. We're just trying to logically give our best estimation and educated guess at a lot of this stuff. So that's where the vibrations are happening yesterday, Today's news will come out in 7 o'clock or so tonight on the West Coast. Buoys. Any buoys out there that are active? Well, we'll find out. Maybe. Maybe. Refresh. There you go, big boy. There you go. All right, so looking over here in the Indian Ocean, I'm always watching these areas over here. Buoys move because of Chinese submarines bouncing off the lines, or fishing boats bouncing off the lines. I'm joking, of course, except for the fishing boat thing. Or earthquakes, or sea movement, sea ground movement, or large waves moving through. So we watch the buoys. They have a lot of more information than just the ground movement or the water movement up and down. And we don't see anything out there. Busy. Nothing over here for the Ruskies either. And we do have a whole bunch of things out there. Yeah, nothing. Okay, so let's go right into the wait, let's look at the power outages. Look at Maine. 427,000 people without power, right? And you got to look at Mass. 117,000 people without power. If I clicked on New Hampshire, you'd see there's a couple thousand people out without power too. About 4,000 out. New Hampshire. And Vermont, no, nobody's out of power. Maybe 17 or 20, or there's 100 people out. 400,000 out of 852,000 customers that are being watched are without power. Well, why is that? Well, if we look at COD, and we looked at this, and we looked at the dirty. You see this big storm off to the left there? Well, that used to be over the East Coast, and it's pushing offshore now. And he's pretty persistent. As you can see, it moved through, and it knocked out power. Here's New Brunswick, here's Maine, and Maine's without power. And a huge amount of cold air coming up there now. Probably some ice and sleet. I don't know if there's any snow yet. Canuck, do you have snow? But he's saying 25,000 or 250,000 people in New Brunswick are without power. So that's a significant amount. The entire West Coast is full of water, rain, and maybe even some snow in the upper elevations. It's very rare to see this much power coming through the United States. And Snow King, do you have any snow? No snow, 47 degrees. So he's got 47 degrees up there in Canuck land, and so there's no snow. It looks like through Pennsylvania and Ohio Valley, there's got to be snow. And up here in North Dakota, there's no snow up here by Devil's Lake. So I'm watching that. The dip of the jet stream is pretty insane, coming all the way down into the Carolinas, almost into Georgia. And it's just at the top of Georgia. And Tennessee and Kentucky and the Virginias and Carolinas, Northern Carolina, not Southern, it appears. Then there's a rollback of heat. And then over the capital and all. Look at all this weather over here, though. Oh, my land. Southern Cal, we had a little bit of rain. It's still kind of cloudy and dark right now. It's only 6:54 here on the West Coast, and but it's 7:54 where I'm going to be. So I'm on Arizona time now, and I'll be calling it the West before the West Coast or something like that. Mountain time be right up in that area where it's catching some rain today, and Ramblin' Rex says 32 in Atlanta, Georgia, colder than Canada. Wow. Yeah, that's that dip in the jet. Yeah, yep. And look at that, just that. Looks like he's going to catch some more rain. Very interesting, this whole giant dip. Very, very, very wild. So, amazing. The Pacific Northwest has some power coming into it. Let's go ahead and look at what's going on in the ocean out here. There we go. Big storm. A second big storm's coming in. The other storm's like probably over Colorado now, the center of it. And we were watching that. Look at here. The Pineapple Express has stopped going into the Pacific Northwest. It's down here, but there's more going way up the top. So the jet stream is split in two. There's that big low pressure that's off the coast. Here's a cold one coming down. Uh-oh. Gonna bring snow right there, boy. Yeah, all that cold air, and it's being fed now. Wow. Yeah, El Nino is here, baby. Yeah, lots of storms. It is winter in about 2 days. The shortest day of the year happens on the 21st. Here we are on the 19th. So we're 2 days from the shortest day of the year, and then from that time on, the days get longer. Yeah, so we're deep in it now. Deep in it now. Also, we enter winter, I guess, right? December 21st is the first day of winter. Yeah, up here in America and in Canada and north of the equator, probably. I wouldn't know. I think they enter summertime down there in Australia. Yeah, and predicted down there is drought. Drought conditions predicted down there, and then you know what happens with droughts. You know, lots of fires. But I did hear some more flooding was happening down there, and you watch what happens in Australia, the west coast of Australia, or the east coast. You know what happened here in Cali as well. So it's really strange. The jet stream going the opposite direction, right into the United States, right into Mexico, right into Central America. And we did this and we checked out the east and the effects of the El Nino. You can see the jet stream is going the opposite direction. Yeah. Big storm out here, getting caught in the center over the Atlantic again. You know, there you go. And it's moving on up. You see the big jet stream coming back this way, being sucked up, pushed out all this warm air. Big rainstorm event that went through the east coast and went north up into Canada. Then the jet stream brought all the cold air right behind it. Yeah, but it looks like it warmed it all up, to tell you the truth. But that's what we're seeing in the weather thus far. If we went to windy, we might be able to see a little bit more of what's going on around the world. There's a front coming through, right? Here's a front, a transitional front. Down here in Aussie land, there's a low pressure here with next to a high pressure. Some unstable weather right there. 77 degrees, 78 degrees, 80 degrees inland. Down in the south, 60s. New Zealand, 50s. Pretty cold down there, eh? Low pressure here off, that would be Vanuatu. Here's Fiji, Samoa, New Caledonia. We have some, other islands here. Santa Cruz Islands, and then we get up to PNG, where this is the other side. Okay, and then we have the Maritime Continent right here. And then we have out here is the Indian Ocean. somewhere in this region right here, what we've learned is the down pressure, right? The down pressure of the atmosphere, making it dry. And then the up pressure brings off the water, right? And it circulates like that. This is called Madden-Julian oscillation, and the ENSO, ENSO and MJO. I think that's what this is called. Still learning it, but the down pressure of air from the atmosphere dries out, and as it goes across the ocean, it picks up that moisture and shoves that back up into the atmosphere. And when it goes up in the atmosphere, it then creates moisture in clouds. And so when we looked at the COD, we looked at the Pacific Ocean, right? Going back here to the west, and you saw all of these clouds, right, in the ocean. That's evidence of all that moisture being shoved up into the atmosphere, and it becomes rain and clouds and storms. And that's basically what the El Nino is. And going back to the planet, if the planet is this, what happens on one side, you have one system on the other side, and they rotate around the planet. So this would be basically, in all essence, El Nino, and this would be La Nina, and they travel around. In essence, the effects of what's going on around our planet. So what's happening is somewhere right about here, the updraft of water is getting into the atmosphere, filling it up, and it takes 3 or 4 months to fill up, and because the water's warm way down here, super warm, and warm air rises, right? So it takes it all up, puts it up into the atmosphere, and then creates cloud coverage, and the cloud coverage creates storms, and as a result, we get lots of rain and changes our weather. And sometimes, and the jet streams create these, whirligigs here, and these little storm centers, and it's good stuff. And I find it interesting. And then some people have made the observation when a storm hits, let's say out here in the maritime continent, when lots of heavy rainstorms hit an area, shortly thereafter, 1 to 3 months, they'll have major earthquakes, because the ground gets so saturated, and then everything gets loosened up, and then it slips. Is that what's going to happen on the West Coast? The Pacific Northwest was getting pummeled here the last month or so. The East Coast, oh boy, it's been getting walloped. Floods all the way up and down the East Coast. And it's predicted in this El Nino season that this whole sector is going to be super wet, and the north is going to be super dry. But, it'll last until next fall, and then La Nina will kick back in, and then we'll do this thing all over again. Usually La Nina lasts 2 to 3 years, and then as the systems move around the planet, as you can see, it is the whole planet, and then you'll start to see it out here. And as it moves inland, then my buddy up there, the Snow King, will get snow. But I think it's going to happen a little bit late for him. I think it'll happen in the spring, if he gets any at all. So planning ahead is part of it. As you can see on this map here, there's not a whole lot of earthquakes. These are earthquakes that are 4.5 and above,
except for those territories that are on United States. In central part of the United States, they had a 2.9 Texas. We had a 3.8 in Colorado. That happened on the 18th. And that Texas one happened on the 18th. And this one down here in Texas, West Texas, happened on the 18th as well. So nothing today. All yesterday. Here's another quake up in Nevada that happened today, though, 3.4 in Spanish Springs, Nevada. And there's nothing inside the continental U.S. Other than up in Alaska. We've got a 2.5 in Yakut, and then Cantwell had a 2.9 as well. However, out here near the Rat's Tail, 4.4 in Rats Islands. And then Hawaii, we have 2.5. And it looks like here we got a little Costa Rican quake, 3.7. And then out here by the Virgin Islands, 4.0. And then down here in, the Loyalty Islands came in with a 5.1. I was wondering when they would speak up because of all the other activity from Tonga and Fiji the last couple of days. It hadn't spoken yet. And now it's got a 5.1 and a 4.9. Although they're together, as you can see, New Caledonia, Loyalty Islands are like right here. So, whatever. And up here in the Papua New Guinea, they're calling this Solomon Islands, 5.1. That happened yesterday. Again, there's a reason why the nighttime reports were going to happen, because we're only catching what happens overnight. You know. Indonesia in the Florence Sea had a 5.2. Then up here where they had the 7.6, as you can see, still bouncing, 4.9 close to shore, and then a 4.9 offshore. But onshore in the north, 4.9. I don't know if they have a city near there. Let's go ahead, population density. Yeah, there's pretty fair amount of people. So I'm sure they felt this one. 4.9, 10 kilometers in depth. 4.9 here. I'm sure they felt this too. But this one here, they felt that. So there might be some damage, minor damage up in here. We'll have to take a quick look, see what the intensity was. Interactive map. They may not even show it. And that's just USGS. That's normal. So what else we have? Up here in Taiwan, I've been waiting for a Taiwan quake because of the China quake. Popping in at a 4.4 today, just at the turn of the hour, just offshore. And we still banging away at 4.5 and 5.9 yesterday. Then way in the east, over by Kyrgyzstan, and the China border, 5.2. Now the 6.2 had severe damage in some of the buildings in this region, and I think last count was 300 or 400 people hurt, and 100 didn't make it because of the buildings. Yeah. And it looks like Europe is relatively quiet. And there's only one quake I didn't talk about, and it's 4.4. And top of Banda Aceh. Don't want anything in this region. You remember? Yeah, you remember. That tsunami is that big, giant 8 that happened out here. Well, now we'll get on to volcano news. According to Volcano Discovery in the news today, as I close all these other windows. Close. December 19th, 2023. Fuego Volcano, Popo, Tucono, Marapi. It's Marapi. Rick James, Sangay, and Villarica, and Sabancaya. All right. These are what's made the news. Rick James erupted, rapidly decreasing in strength. Worst case scenarios no longer likely. Being told today. The eruption started suddenly last night with a great power and already significantly has decreased, as I see it as well. That doesn't mean squat when it comes to the Earth, though. A lot of magma down there. We only have a little bit of crust, man. It's like we all live on the Band-Aid of Earth. Earth gets a boo-boo and it bleeds a little bit, and we all live right there. We're like flies. We're like bugs on the planet, man. Villarrica volcano down there in the central Chile. It's smoking. Popo, just south of Mexico City, maybe about a 1,500 foot pop. Tucano, 11,000 foot ash advisory. So that pop is about 5,000 feet, maybe 5,500 feet out of Tucano. And it's been busy for a better part of a month. Don't be surprised if thing goes big. Sabancaya, down in the armpit of South America in Peru. 19,500 foot there, about 19-something foot mountain. Shooting off emissions to up to 24,000. So probably a 4,500 foot max. Fuego, 16,000 foot ceiling for ash, means fly above 16,000. And generally speaking, of a 12,300 foot mountain, you're looking at a 3,800 foot pop, right? And Rick James, man, GRINDAVIK might be spared at the latest update they're saying. We'll try to find that update for you, what the latest people are talking. And Sangay, about 10,000 foot pop out of a 17, so it'd be at 27,000 foot ash advisory. So Sangay's picked up a little bit there in Ecuador. You know, in southern Ecuador, it's like, what's going on? Yeah. Earthquakes happened as of the turn of the hour today. 100 earthquakes per hour in this region. There's some up here as well. Here's GRINDAVIK. Right here's where the eruption happened. So it's slowed down significantly. Marapi there in Sumatra, where it killed 17 people, I think, when it erupted. So yeah, it popped. And 15,000. I'd say that's pretty shallow for that. I think it's 10,000, right? 11,000? 9,000. Yeah, 9,400. Yeah. So not big. And the fissure in Rick James was 3.5 kilometers. Rick James at 23. Everybody's talking about that, all the different things. We watched that quite a bit over the evening last night. And Fuego still saying hello. Popo, nothing. Sabancaya, the same. And that's it for today. As we look again, the live visual of what's happening up in Iceland. Seems like it's getting cloudy up there, right? Well, just the days are getting shorter. That's all. Here's GRINDAVIK. And somebody has a nice little camera view of it. And here we are watching. Maybe. So, we'll be watching. Yeah. I think I'll put this report up there. Good morning, Spunky Mango and Snarls. Gotta grab my coffee. Yeah, I'm already out of coffee. I gotta feed the kitty. We'll touch a little bit more about what's happening here at the second half of the report. Yeah, I'll be right back. And remember, over there on YouTube land, when in doubt, shout it on no. Don't get none on you. And tell somebody you love them.